How's it going, guys? We're back at it and we've got a brand new machine. Pretty excited about this one. Got all hooked up. So it is ARE Engine Building Equipment Industries. I've been very happy with it. This is a block blaster. It's a big boy. And so here's the blaster itself. And then this is the dust collector. So inside the dust collector, well, we'll get there in a bit, but this is the good part. And what I love about this machine, it is simple. You've got dust collector, blaster, basket, and door. The door itself is pneumatic, so let's get that opened up. Now today I will be doing a demo on it. Surprisingly, they don't have anything on the YouTube. So I thought I would do my own stuff, put it on there, give them a little shout out because I'm very impressed with it so far. I've got the block set up in here ready to go. And let's get this rotating. So you just press that button, it starts rotating the basket. Simply put, you've got two rollers going on the bottom here, and then this whole thing is separate, so this whole cage can just pop right out. So you can get your block set up in this cage and then drop it in with the forklift or whatever you want to use. And then you've got all of these little bars with springs, and then they just correspond to a hole on the other side. So then it's really easy to just kind of adjust so that your block is perfectly cradled, so it's not flopping around or anything like that. Holds it in nicely. So they recommend, and it just makes sense, make sure your block is clean and oil free. So I don't have an oven at the moment, so what I do is I wash it really good, get as much out as I can, and then I take a rosebud with the oxyacetylene, just go over everything and make sure all the oil is burned off, and then I do a wash again. And it doesn't matter if anything flash rusts, because guess what, we're blasting it. So this uses little stainless shot like that, little BBs. They measure about 20 thousandths, and if you use this, you're going to want to pull all your plugs and freeze plugs out and make sure everything's oil free, and then when you're done, you got to get every BB out of it possible. So setting up this machine is pretty simple. I'd say once you buy the machine, you're going to spend another $500–600 getting everything set up. We've got our regulator set up down there. It's set at 90 psi. They want 80 to 100, so I put it in 90, and that's, I haven't hard lined it or anything. I just got a hose set up that goes into, shoot, where's my line at? Yeah, right there. And it requires 50 amps of 223 phase. And from what I'm seeing is we've got two different dials here, and correct me if I'm wrong, if ARE is watching this. The only reason why you only need 50 amps, or it doesn't even need 50 amps, really. When you start this thing up, you'll see the needle jump up to 45 and then drop down. And then the next one is going to kick up and then drop down. So I find that it runs at about 12 amps per side. And what I think is going on is you got two jets in here at the bottom, so then it starts up one side and then starts up the other, because if you had a 100 amp shock all at once, it'd be too much. So I ran a 6 gauge wire, pretty hefty, and then what you're going to need is you're going to hook it up into here and yeah, into this box. I'm liking this flexible conduit. It works really well, and I always find that if I set up a machine, it's going to be moving in a year or two for some reason. So when I do plugs and stuff, I'll do hard conduit, but the flexible tubing is just nice because it's adjustable. and set that up in your breaker box. So moving on to the big massive dust collector. This thing's like, I don't know, 8 feet tall. It's big. So your tube right here, and then the machine comes with this tube. So if you're buying stuff to get ready, you don't need it. It came with my machine at least. And this is the dust collector. So you're gonna have 2 big bags, and then in the back you've got a fan. That's also 3-phase. That hooks up, comes with the wire that hooks up into the machine. And so that thing moves a lot of air. It really sucks it right out. And so then you've got 2 big bags here. And then you've got a little shaker bar at the top, so every once in a while you just move that bar, it shakes the bags. Everything falls into the bottom, and then then you can pull the plug out the bottom and get rid of all your waste. So it looks like, so there's 4 bags in here, and it looks like it's just very well built. Honestly, I'm very impressed. This is not a light machine. Moving it in here was kind of a pain because it was weird angles from where I have it set up in my shop. So I've got my washer right there. I've got my rods and supplies here, my press. So it kind of fits in this cranny. And so it was getting a little tough to get in, but I got it. Not a problem. But this thing, you got 1/4-inch steel everywhere. And they put rubber on the inside. I like that. So that way when you're blasting, you're not ruining the steel of your cabinet. You're gonna eat away at that rubber, but I'm sure that's gonna take a long time. So all your shot is reusable, obviously. And it just falls back in and recycles. And then what I do like is they have this little lip right here, so that when you've got this stuff here, it falls into that lip here and it gets reused. But I love how simple this is. There's no computers, it's all analog, just simple. A couple dip switches, not that you're gonna mess with anything there, because there's nothing in the manual for that. So I love it. It works good. Pneumatics you're only gonna be using for the door itself. Everything else is electric. It's just simple. So without further ado, we got this block set up in here, so let's get it running. This is a Jeep or AMC 4-liter, and I picked this up for 150 bucks with head, crank, rods, pistons, all that stuff. It's just too cheap to not take that, so I can recondition it, so that when someone else is ready for it, I've got a block ready to go. There's a 4-liter, could be a 4.6, whatever you feel like doing. Let's get it going. Alright, first step, block set up, and we're gonna close the door. And just know, the first little bit drops real fast. And then you're gonna press the basket button. You can kind of see the wheels moving right there. And dust collector. And actually I'm very impressed with how quiet it is. And we're gonna focus here so you can see it. Let's turn on the blaster. And we're gonna run that for a couple, I don't know, 10 minutes, and we'll see what it looks like. So we did a 15-minute cycle on it, and we are ready to open it up and we'll see how it turned out. So I've actually already looked at it and as I went, and it does an amazing job. It really does. Now, from what I've noticed on this block is it's got a few little sand casting pieces that are kind of part of the block. It wouldn't come out. We'll get there in just a bit. But this thing just does a fantastic job. I'm gonna stop it right there. And I mean, it's just weird. Little casting marks, sand from the cast. I'd never seen it like this. I took a chisel to it, tried to break it, and it wouldn't. It's part of the block. So that's just the case with this one. But you can see, camera's in the way, but you can see all the serial numbers still really well. All the casting marks. It looks great. Let's see, if we rotate this a little bit more, I love how shiny it is. This is something great for me. This is the first brand new machine we've ever bought, and I've enjoyed it so far. This block was actually, for me personally, I don't deck a motor unless it needs to be decked. There's just no point. It's a waste of time and money. But this one did. The block itself had 0.003 of warpage, so we're going to deck it anyways. What I would do is, if I'm trying to do the cheapest job possible, not that I do a cheap job, but you know, save the customer money, I don't line hone all the time. I do when it needs it, but sometimes it's just not needed. So in this case, the blasting really takes a toll on these journals, and you can kind of see that pitting in there. And if I'm trying to save the customer money, what I would probably do is keep those bearings in here. Well, obviously clean them, but put them in to get them blasted. The cam bearings itself, they're pretty well wore out. I kept the cam bearings in there so that I don't mess up those surfaces. So this, I'm going to trim the caps and line hone it. And what I think I'll be doing, and it's shiny. It does such a good job. It takes a little more material away than I'd like, but with how it looks, it does a really good job at getting inside the bores, and it looks like a brand new block. It does a great job. And you can now really see the wear that this block has, the lip on the top. Now, with this surface, what I think I'm going to do is start making rubber plates, kind of similar to this material. If I make a rubber plate to put on top of the deck, that way I don't have to deck it if I don't want to. So that way I can keep the same surface, because now it's got lots of pitting and stuff going on here. This will have to be decked, but I'm going to deck it anyways. I'm going to line hone it, because if the block is warped, that means the mains are warped. So we're just going to go through this motor and make it brand new. I have to say, I'm very impressed with it. This is actually not the very first machine that I've bought brand new, but this is, well, let me take that back. I bought my mill, my lathe and my mill back there. I bought those brand new many years ago. But as far as engine building machinery, this is not the first. I've bought another machine. Maybe I'll get into that one of these days. I bought a machine and I returned it after a week because the craftsmanship was utter trash. This, I hooked up power to it and it works great. I hooked up the air to it. Everything just, it's been trouble free. It came with BBs already in it, and the hose to hook up to that dust collector. And before I go, one thing I might add: when I had this machine ordered, it's made to order, so it takes, I think it took 2 months, two and a half months to get, which really, to make a machine to order, that's pretty fast. And what I actually had them do is, I work on a lot of big John Deeres and big diesels, so I asked them if they could make it 6 inches wider to be able to hold the bigger block. So I had them make it to hold up to 36 inches, which a big John Deere 404, those old John Deeres, that's 35 inches, so it'll just barely slip in, and that's just about as big as I go. So yeah, I had them custom make that for me, and that was much appreciated. Cost a little bit extra, but really for what that allows me to do, totally worth it. So I thought I'd just throw that in there. I'm very impressed with it. So if you're looking at an ARE blaster and considering it and you can't find any information, take this as my approval. You go for it. It costs a little over $30,000, so it's a lot of money, but it's thick, it's heavy, very well built. Highly recommend. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.